I'm Bryce Johnson here at ManUp, a conference taking place in Charlotte, and I'm joined right now by one of the key guys behind making this event happen. He's actually going to be speaking here in just a little bit. His name's Thomas Davis. He's a linebacker for the Carolina Panthers. He was drafted in the first round of the 2005 NFL Draft. He's a Pro Bowler, a Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner, and has a foundation with his wife called the Thomas Davis Defending Dreams Foundation. Thomas, thanks so much for joining us here on Unpacking It. How are you?
I'm doing great, Bryce. Thank you for having me.
Man, we're psyched to have you, and we're going to talk all about Man Up, but let's start first with the off-season, and OTAs have been taking place for the Panthers. How has that been going, and what's kind of your perspective on the off-season?
You know, it's been exciting, to see the young guys that we've added to our football team come in and, just really get acclimated to what we do as a football program and, just coming together and getting out there competing against the offense. We have a new look offense with Norv coming in and take over, and Coach E is the new defensive coordinator for us. So we're learning a lot of new things on defense, and just seeing everything come together right now is really taking shape.
So what's it like? Because you're, of course, a big hitter, defense, all that. With no pads, what's kind of the mentality this time of year?
Really right now without having the pads on, it allows you to really focus in and hone in on some of the things that you need to get better at as a player, whether it's, eye recognition of formations or really just seeing the game better. I mean, this is the period of time where you are able to do that and not really focusing in on getting hit or hitting anybody.
Man, so you're heading into your 14th season, and you mentioned improving, getting better. What does that look like at this stage of your career? What are you still working on?
Just really fine-tuning some of the things that you didn't do as well the previous year. And, that's for me, that's one of the things that I always look at. I always go back and look at the previous season and look at some of the things that I didn't do as well at, and, what are some of the things that I can do to be better at those things this year. And, there's a few things that stood out to me, so I've definitely been working on those.
That's awesome. Thomas Davis, our guest right now on Unpacking It, and so you're going to speak today here at the ManUp Charlotte Conference. What is your purpose for being involved, and why are you so passionate about what ManUp represents?
For me, my purpose for being involved is an easy one. I was one of these kids or one of these people that we're trying to cater to right now. Growing up in a household that didn't have a father in it, just really encouraging the men and the boys around this neighborhood to really man up, or in this community to man up and do the right thing is a no-brainer, because I know how I felt as a young kid growing up in a household that didn't have a dad, and how tough that can be for some kids these days. And now with me being a father of 4 and using those experiences of not having a father in the household, thinking about all of the things that I look for as a young kid that I never could get from my dad. I try to make sure that my kids now never have to go without. And for the kids in this community that are going through it right now, you want to encourage, the fathers that are not in their lives and some of the fathers that are doing things the right way to step up and help those kids out as well. Because for me, my mentors and the people that I looked up to from a father figure standpoint was my coaches, my football coaches, my basketball coaches, and, my best friend dad lived in the household. So I looked to, their relationship and what he was doing with him a lot, and just really tried to lean on that. So that's one of the things I feel like within this community, stepping up and being a village of guys that comes together and make sure that, we're raising our men the right way, so that when they go out and they become actual grown men, that they can make some good decisions.
And so as you think about just being a father to your own 4 kids, what maybe has been the most surprising aspect of fatherhood, or something that you didn't realize because you didn't have a father in the home growing up?
Really knowing and understanding now how tough it is.
Yeah.
It's not an easy task. It's not an easy job, especially working in the world that I work in as an NFL player, and being away from home a lot. But it's important to keep the things that are important. And I say that because a lot of times your kids really, as a father, really just want you to spend time with them. And, that's very important. Time spent with your kids goes so much further than going out and buying them material things, because when you're able to go out, like for me, my boys are very active in sports, so they want me to be hands-on. They want me to be outside playing basketball with them. showing them some of the things that I know from a football standpoint. So I enjoy those times and those opportunities that I have to spend with them. And, those are memories that you're going to create and that those kids are going to use as they go on to become parents one day, that, they're going to do that. Okay, I was able to spend time with my dad. He took the time out to make sure that I felt loved. And, that's another thing for me that's real big, telling my kids that I love them each and every day.
Man,
like, there's never a day
powerful.
that goes by that I don't tell my kids that I love them. I didn't have that growing up. My dad, I probably can count on one hand how many times that I've heard that from him.
Yeah.
Even though he is in my life now, I still can count on one hand how many times I've heard that from my dad, which is crazy.
Thomas Davis, our guest right now, and yeah, it's a heartbreaking thing to think about, just the number of kids that are growing up that way, and even in the NFL, and now you being a veteran, I mentioned 14 seasons, and you see guys come into the league that have come from that background of not having a father figure. How have you been able to even be a mentor to some of the young guys and even identify some of the things that maybe they're lacking in or desiring, that because you can relate to them?
And a lot of times, as you go and you become a leader, as I have for our football team, you start to learn that all situations are different. All men, all guys are different, and you can't approach every situation the same way. So when we have young guys come in, you just really got to meet them where they at. You can't expect them to come in and be on a level or be in a certain place that you think that they should be in, because kids these days are totally different from when we came into the league. So it's important for us to be able to understand that there is a difference, and that not everybody grew up or came from the same backgrounds or dynamics. So when you're talking to a kid and you're trying to help mentor them, you got to find out what they may be going through in their life. What are some of the things that they're What are some of the things that they're struggling with? What are some of their strengths? You want to continue to build on their strengths and just help them where they struggle at. And that's one of the things that I feel that has allowed me to become an effective leader in understanding that.
That's awesome. And going back to your own kids and them being watching you day to day and wanting to imitate you and emulate you, there's a lot of pressure in that. But how does your faith impact you in that regard, knowing that they are looking up to you and wanting to make sure they understand that hey, where my love comes from is from the Lord, and so how does that kind of play out in your life as a dad?
I think as being the head of my household, it's important for me as a dad to first and foremost allow my kids to understand that, the God is at the center of it all. We're not in a situation where we're in control of anything that happens. And it's important for us to always be obedient. That's one of the things that I'm always teaching to my kids. We get so caught up in living in a world where we want everything to happen right now when we want it to happen.
That's right.
But it's not about when we want it to happen. It's all about doing things in God's time and always understanding that He has a plan for your life. I think so often as people, we get caught up in I can do it. If it's going to happen, I'm going to make it happen, without allowing God to come and work and actually be the center of it all. And that's when we lose track, or we get sidetracked of really what's important.
And along those same lines, not only impacting your family and because of your faith with that kind of focus, but also we know that you love and have a desire to impact the community and to make a difference, and you and your wife have done a great job with your foundation. How does your faith drive you in that area of your life as well?
I think my faith has had a huge impact in that, and understanding that to whom much is given, much is expected. And, we've definitely been blessed by the Lord, and, in more ways than one. When you look at my NFL career and the way that things have gone, not very many guys have been given an opportunity to continue to play the game after tearing their ACL in their right knee 3 times in a row.
No.
Like it just doesn't happen. And I know that's simply from being obedient to God, following His plan, understanding that, He's using me in a way that is way bigger than Thomas Davis.
Yep.
I feel like the way that God has used me in my career has been to shine the light on so many guys that may go through an injury or go through any kind of setback in their career or in their life, to understand and know that, you know, regardless of whatever obstacle you face, if you continue to believe in yourself and you continue to believe in God and the process and the plan that He has in place, you can overcome anything.
Amen.
And that's really how I wake up each and every day, and trying to be encouraging to the young guys, try to be encouraging to my kids when, you know, they have situations or things that don't go their way, to stay obedient. Believe in the process. Understand that God would never place more on you than you can handle. And once you start to realize and know that, then it makes life so much easier. You're able to wake up every day and just follow that plan. When things don't go that way, do the things, continue to do it, believe that you can do it, and know that you can do it, and just make it happen.
Thomas Davis, good word from the Carolina Panthers, linebacker, joining us here on Unpacking It. I'm Bryce Johnson, and we're here at the ManUp Conference in Charlotte, and Thomas is about to share with the guys today, and so we've had just a great conference so far, and so we're talking to you before you speak. What's maybe one takeaway or part of your message that you hope these guys will receive today?
See, and this one thing that I keep getting asked the question, like, what are you going to talk about? What are some of the things?
I don't want to ask you the same question.
No, listen. That's I'm glad you asked me that question, because it's perfect. And I always and I do a lot of speaking engagements. Like, every opportunity that I get to speak, I take advantage of.
Yeah.
And I never go into it with a preconceived notion of this is what I'm going to talk about.
Interesting.
I really go into every situation with an open mind and just totally being vulnerable and being open to whatever the situation is, because I don't want to go into it thinking, okay, I'm going to talk about this, and this, and then that may not be what God is calling me to do. So I really speak freely from the heart, each and every situation that I get, and I feel like it's more genuine that way, and it's perceived in a way that people can definitely relate to it. And that's the reason why I decided to do that, because the first couple of times when I had a speaking engagement, I have my notes. I'm going to stay in line. I'm going to do this. I'm going to talk about that. And then the message don't come off as clear to some people, or if I go back and I watch it and I'm like, I wanted to say this, or I should have said that. When you're speaking from the heart, everything flows.
I love it. I love it. I actually relate to you. I'm more that way as well. Thomas Davis with us here on Unpacking It. And so we've talked about being a dad and a mentor and reaching the fatherless. I also mentioned your wife, Kelly. When you think about being a husband and what's maybe a word of wisdom that you've learned that you can share with the people listening today?
Hey, your wife is always right. That's a message that I would definitely deliver to the men that are listening. But, you know, for me and my wife, we just celebrated 10 years of marriage.
Congrats.
10 years of marriage. And when you think about so many people that get into relationships, that go into marriages, and once you enter into those marriages and you make a commitment before God and you say that, you know, I do, that's not the end of it. You know, it doesn't stop there. You know, marriage is not easy. It's not meant to be an easy situation, but it's supposed to be beautiful, and you're supposed to make the most of it, and you're supposed to rely on one another when things don't go well. And I can truly say that my wife was there for me every step of the way through every obstacle that I faced as a person, as a player, encouraging me. And, you know, I try to be there for her as well. I try to do the same things for her. She has a ton of things that she's really starting to get into and do on her own. And, you know, it's important for us to just really encourage one another, because that's what it's all about. When you leave and cleave and you become one,
That's right.
you know, that says a lot. And you have to be willing to understand that there are sacrifices that have to be made when you make that commitment, and there are certain things that you can no longer do that you were able to do before you got married. And once you realize and you understand that, you can go on and you can have a beautiful marriage, but you have to totally commit yourself to that person. You can't be half yoked.
That's awesome. Man, what a testimony and encouragement. 10 years of marriage from Thomas Davis, linebacker for the Carolina Panthers. Well, we got to get you going because you're going to go on stage to share with the men here today at the ManUp Charlotte Conference. And I really appreciate all that you did to help make this day happen and to be a part of it. And so we're thankful to partner with you and Man Up and for you to be a part of the Unpacking It radio show today. So thanks so much.
Thank you for having me. And if you're out there and you're listening to this, I encourage you guys that are not here right now to, step up and become a part of this next year, man. This is a great event. It's a great opportunity for, even if you think that you have all the answers, there's still a lot more that you can learn. So I encourage you to come out, be a part of this, share it with a friend that you may know that may be going through some of the same struggles that men go through on a daily basis. This is a great opportunity for you guys to come out and be a part of a great movement, something that I feel that is going to be very beneficial for men in Charlotte for a long time to come. So
absolutely. We've all got areas that we can man up in and improve on. So it's cool to do it together. That's the key. So he's Thomas Davis. I'm Bryce Johnson. This is Unpacking It.